Thank y'all for being here this morning. We're going to talk about POTA. What is POTA? Getting started, hunting. And this morning, I'm just going to brush on hunting a little bit, but I'm going to spend most of the time on activating. And then we'll go over some equipment and then the resources. So what is POTA? Parks on the Air. It's a 501c3. It went into effect 2017 or 2018, I believe. And it's a lot of fun. And this is the picture there is the Pearsons, and that's the boy's mom on her first POTA activation. So they were excited about this one. It started in 2016. The National Park Service worked with the ARRL to do what they called Parks on the Air. And people would go out to the national parks, set up their stations, make as many contacts they could. And there were certificates and stuff given out for making contact with the parks. And it was so successful that after it ended, the ARRL couldn't fund it continuing. So a group of guys that were working with them to get the national parks on the air, they decided, well, let's just carry this on and see what we can do with it. So they are the ones that established POTA. This information here was from the first quarter of this year. So as you can see, there were 43,000 parks worldwide, almost 10,000 in the United States. As of right now, POTA is not bringing any new states or state parks or national parks into the program because they're being overwhelmed with all the international parks. So their emphasis right now is to get as many country parks into their database as they possibly can. Once that kind of settles down, they'll go back into adding the U.S. stuff as it becomes available. There's over 300,000 contacts, call signs in the database. This is activators and hunters. An activator is a guy that goes out in the field and activates the parks. The hunters are you sitting at your home that are hunting the parks on a daily basis. So I know we're well over 300,000 now. One of the fun things with POTA is the awards. There are hundreds of awards that you can get. And the wife of the man that is over POTA, she does all the artwork and everything for the certificates. And other than the worked all states DX ones, each one of them has a picture of some flora or fauna or animal life on the certificate that it's really, she has done a good job on these certificates. They're high quality. These, again, for the first quarter of 2023, there were 45,745 activations, 4,000 activators out in the fields. There were over 8,000 parks activated during that period. At that time, there were 62 DX entities, and I know there's well more than that right now. I do not have the exact number. They haven't came out with any more stats since this came over. And they've had over 2 million contacts. So POTA is just overwhelmingly the best program going on ham radio right now. And I tell you, when I got started in it, I was just hunting, and it was back in COVID. And really, it got me through COVID because it gave me something to do just to keep my mind off of not being stuck in a house, not being able to go somewhere. So every day I was on the air hunting these the parks that were out there, and it was. I think I've heard a lot of people say that that's what got them into it, was just the fact that there was you were stuck at home. There wasn't much to do. So I'm getting started with POTA. The first thing you've got to do to get on the air is you've got to go to the POTA website and register. This green block here is the title page from the top of the POTA website, and it's POTA.app. That's the website URL. And you just go on that, you click on the sign up button. It will go to another page of Cognito. There is a service called Cognito that they use for your sign up. It's You go into Cognito, generate an account, it links to POTA, and then you're on the air. It doesn't take very long, and it's easy to do. So now we're going to go into hunting. So when you're looking for parks, again, you go to POTA.app. You click on the spots tab at the top of the page. And this is kind of a, yeah, you can see that. This is what the page looks like. And at the top, you can filter it by band. You can filter it by mode to see only those that you're specifically interested in. And it gives you the call sign, the frequency they're on, what park they're currently at, everything you need to do. Just go there and hopefully if the propagation is good, it hadn't been lately, but they'll be there for you to talk to. Happy hunting and make some contacts. No need to submit your logs on POTA. You don't need to do anything. I personally do log all my contacts because I just keep a log of everything I do on the air. But the activator themselves are the ones responsible. Once the activation is through, we'll go over this a little bit later, but they submit it and then there's nothing else for you to do. You can go to the My Stats page or My Awards. It's under your call sign. Once you're registered, your call sign will be in the upper right-hand corner. You click on it, you go down to My Stats or My Awards, and it lists everything that you've been awarded so far. And it was funny, when I first registered for POTA, I went to the website and I had awards. And I didn't even know it. Yeah, I mean, I knew in the past I had worked a few POTA people, but I didn't know. And I go there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've already got some awards that I've been working on. So it was quite a surprise. Now we're going to go into activating. Why in the world would I want to operate outdoors? Sometimes it's snowing and cold. Jeff and I had a pact this past winter, that if it snowed, we were going to go POTA, and it didn't snow. So this next year, we're going to do it this next winter. It may be hot in the desert. There's a lot of people that go out west and do this and in some terrible conditions, or it may be windy on a beach somewhere, but no matter what, it's always having lots of fun. These are just some different pics that we've taken. The one in the lower left-hand corner, the dog, we were out at the Natchez Trace Parkway one day, and these people came in with their dogs, and the dogs came over and made friends with us, and they sat and talked for a half an hour or so, and we had a lot of fun on that day. But so preparing to activate, again, everything is off of the POTA.app app. So on the left-hand side, and I'm not going, this is not a tutorial, so I'm just giving you this stuff. You go out and experiment with it yourselves. You'll find everything. It's very easy to use the app. But you go down to map. You can click on the map, or you can click on the park list. The map, let's see if that next one. Okay. The map shows you each one of the yellow dots on the map is a park. And this is in the, just about covers the Middle Tennessee parks. The closest one to us is Natchez Trace. We've got Henry Horton, and let's see, what's that other one we do? Oh, the little one down in College Grove. Boy, that's a small one. It's a red barn. You'd miss it if you didn't know what you were looking for. So, yeah, it's wildlife. That's another thing. That's the Parks on the Air. It incorporates national parks, wildlife management areas, wildlife refuges, and county, I'm sorry, not county parks, state parks. Any other parks are not eligible. The only ones that are eligible are what you'll find on the website that have been registered by each state has a map coordinator, and they go out and find all the parks. So if it's not in yellow, if you're not finding it on here, it's no use wasting your time. Again, city parks and county parks do not count. But anyway, if you click on the little yellow dot, it will bring up the park name and number. If you click more info, it goes into a little pull down that gives you access to the website for that park that you can go in and kind of look at, make your plans before you get there. The park list it's sorted by country. And I wish I had it live because I would just scroll through and show you all the countries right now that have parks. But you go down to the United States, you click on the United States, and at that point, it is sorted by state. You click on your state, and you can sort through all of the parks that are in the state you're interested in. Okay, again, activating. The Pearsons, I wish they had been here. I don't know if they're on Zoom or not. They had a baseball game to go to this weekend, but they have by far outpassed any of the people, I guess, in WCARES as far as POTA. I think well, I'm not even going to say how many activations these guys got under their belts, but it's probably well over 1,000. As their baseball trips have just given them a chance to work parks all over the United States. So my hat's off to them, and they have a whole lot of fun. Spotting the park. So you've decided to make your plan to go out to a park. You go out, you set up all your stuff. You can do this in advance. There is a place where you can plan your POTA. You go there, you put it on the page so people know what's coming up days before you go out. But if you're at the park, you got your stuff set up, and you need to spot yourself. So you go back again to POTA.app. And if you've got internet or cell phone service so that you can get on the internet, you go on the website. Let me see if I've yeah. Let me see if I've got that. No, I don't have this slide. My wife, she has spent like, I don't know, 15 hours the last 3 days helping me edit this thing, and she took out some of my slides. So, but you go to the website. It says add a spot on the upper right hand side. You click on that. You enter your call sign, the frequency that you're going to be operating on in kilohertz, and the park information. You hit that. It automatically puts it out on the website so everybody else can see you, and then sit back and hold on, because a lot of times you're going to be in for the greatest de-expedition type contact you've ever seen in your life. I mean, it's just, they just start coming. People are really, really active on POTA as far as the hunters. And Jeff and I were talking about this before, and you have to really, another good thing about POTA is it gets you into net control operating. So it's not just for fun. It actually does give you experience in running a net, because you have to control the contacts coming into you. You're going to have people that are bullies. They'll just sit there and give their call sign over and over and over again, and you're trying to work somebody else. You know, it's like just ignore them. Work them later. Work the ones that you want to work first, so you are total control of how the activation goes. And just take your time and enjoy it. You can also just get on the air, call CQ, CQ POTA. Somebody will come back to you, and once you get them, you just ask them, "Hey, can you spot me on the website?" And most often they'll be glad to do it. They go on the website and they'll put you on there and help you out. Or there is now a way to spot yourself on WinLink. Again, I'm not going to go into that. It's pretty cool. So you can go on WinLink, fill out a form, send it out over the air, and it will go in and automatically spot you for yourself. There's some good videos on that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. If you're doing digital FT8, I'm trying to remember what picks you up. The DX spotting websites look for anybody calling CQ POTA, and that will also put you on the website, and people can find you that way also. I had totally forgot about that one. And I think it's also works on CW. Reverse beacon, that's it. Yeah, so if you do CW POTA, CQ POTA on CW, it also picks you up and will spot you. A little bit about logging. The two actually big loggers is N3FJP. You use their AC log. They now have a template that you can pull up that converts it from just a normal AC log to a POTA log, and so you can put in all the information. When you're an activator, you want the station's call. They usually do a signal report, and this is not like a contest. Something. It's not a 5959 type signal report. POTA gives real active signal reports so that they can see how their antennas are working, and that you can see how you're doing in contacting them. So that's really neat. And then they record their park information, park number, and goes in the log. And again, you don't have to do anything. HAMRS is a free software package that came out a couple of years ago that's really neat. It was specifically for POTA when it came out, but it now does field day, winter field day, and a couple of others. It's free. It does not interface with your radio. N3FJP, of course, will interface with your radio. So on HAMRS, you have to be careful when you're logging that you make sure your time and your frequency and everything are down correctly on each of your contacts. HAMRS, on the right-hand side of the log, the first thing you do is you set it up, and you set up your call sign, your part number, and the frequency you're on, and then when you log, it automatically logs all that stuff in it for you. Ham Radio Deluxe at Dayton, they mentioned that their next version, which was supposed to have been out a week or so ago, it will also be POTA ready. And again, Ham Radio Deluxe does interface with your radio, so you can use that feature. This is a sample page of the HAMRS website, the HAMRS program. On the left-hand side is when you make a contact, the things you want to log, their call sign, signal reports. If it's another park and you're doing a park to park, if it's a park to park, you get contact for work in their park, they get contact for work in your park. So you want to be sure and log their park number in there so that they get credit for you. Again, when you're submitting these things, so that you need to be very careful on your call signs and stuff, because that's how people get credit for awards and stuff. So it's pretty critical when you're filling out these logs. Again, on the right-hand side, you put in your frequency, your part number, and your call sign, and it logs all that for you. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, if you're using it at home, instead of having to go back and forth to the POTA.app site to look for spots at the bottom of the HAMRS, it does list all the current people that are on the air. It's about 2 or 3 minute lag, but it's pretty accurate. Now, when you're submitting your log, you'll finish your activation. You say no matter what logging program you're using, you'll be able to save it as an ADIF file. You go onto the website, under your call sign, it says my log upload. You click on it, and this window appears. When you save your ADIF file, it needs to be in this format. Your call sign at the part number dash, and then the date in year, month, and day. And that's the format that POTA looks at, and that's the only thing they'll accept. So you can either, once the ADIF file is generated, you can take it and drag and drop it into this block here. You can go into your, click on it, it'll go into your log, and you can pick the one you want and submit it. It's very simple to do. Once it's submitted, yep, we didn't have that one. Another slide that got omitted, I'm sorry. Once it's submitted, there's a list of all your uploads at the bottom, and it will say submitted. And then once it's processed by POTA, it will say processed. And it takes 30 minutes to maybe 24 hours at the most to get it processed. It's very quick process they go through. But this is what you have to do to get your logs in there so that everybody gets credit for their activation. On an activation, it takes a minimum of 10 contacts to make it a true activation. Of course, more is better, but you have to have a minimum of 10. If you get less than 10 and so you don't activate, you still want to turn your log in because the hunters get credit regardless if you activate it or not. So be sure and turn your log in one way or the other. Equipment. As you can see, I mean, these are the most common ones. The 7300 Zygu, and Paul brought a Zygu in, and we have a 705 over here. I've got a KX3, and so these are the ones you'll most likely see. I think right now probably the 7300. When I talk to people that are doing POTA, my goodness, the majority of them are using 7300s. It sounds like. You can drag anything in the field you want to. So if you've got an old Hellcraft transceiver and you want to drag that sucker into the field and you've got the power to run it, more power to you. Antennas. There's a lot. We've got a lot of different antennas set up here today. The Soda Beam, that's the one I've got set up here. The Buddy Pole, I've got a Buddy Pole over here. The Buddy Hex. Buddy came out with a hex beam last year, I think it was, and I've seen it. It's an amazing piece of antenna work. It takes about 20 minutes to set up if you know what you're doing. It has a little crank on it that you can crank and turn it. It's not for an afternoon POTA trip. It's for if you're going to go to a campground and be set up something for a couple of days or something. Otherwise, it's just not worth all the trouble. But that, and it's very pricey. Wolf River coil. I've got a Wolf River coil set up over here. My first go-to is always the Soda Beam. A lot of times I'll set up the Wolf River coil and go back and forth using both of them. The Eagle One, we've got one set up over here. This is what the Pearsons, they swear by it. It can be, Blake Pearson says if they were here, he was going to demonstrate it in the parking lot. He said he could have it set up and on the air in 30 seconds. So I guess it's pretty quick. Pactana, I'm not familiar with, and any other dipole end-fed antenna that you can put out in the field, it'll work. Power. Lithium batteries are probably the number one thing you'll see out there. They're lightweight. They go forever. I've got a couple up here that I use, and I've never run one down in the field. The auto glass mat batteries, some people still haul those out. They're very heavy. They do have the lead acid stuff that you've got to worry about. And as far as their longevity, they don't last near as long as a lithium battery over the life of their battery, not just when you're in the field. And generators, they're noisy, heavy, they need gas, leave them at home. I used to keep my generator with me every time. And one day, Bill Joris and I were out on the trace. I set up the generator, it's running, we're making contacts. We both had batteries. And I said, Bill, what if we try a battery today? He goes, okay. So we shut the generator down, went on battery power, and I've never taken a generator with me again. It's so quiet. You get to enjoy the peacefulness of the park you're in. So if you got a generator, don't use it. Okay, these are the different references. this website, I mean, this will be up on our website. I'm not going to go over all of them right now, but these will be on the website. You can go in and go through each one of them. The doc, POTA.app is very good. It links to a lot of videos that'll help you get started. The Parks on the Air website has, and this is parksontheair.com, not POTA.app. This is another website they have. It was the only one they had until they came up with the other one, but this one still has some good information on it. There's tons and tons of YouTube videos out there on POTA. They've got a very good Facebook page. People will do their activation. They go back, they upload their pictures from their activations. And it's just fun to see what people are out doing. And then Slack and Discord, they're out there. I don't do much with those, but so become a hunter or an activator now. It's dynamite. So get out there and start working on it. There are events that POTA puts on. POTA Support Your Park weekends, and today and tomorrow is a Support Your Park weekend. So if you want to go home today, there's going to be parks everywhere. It'll be a good time to get started. And it's another good, if you work one park or 100 parks, you get a neat little certificate on the website for it. So, but they do it 4 times a year. And luckily today this lined up just perfect. Luckily today is one of them. My wife, one of her passions is making me stand by state park signs. And so this is her hobby. So she gets me by all the parks. The one in the bottom left-hand corner was really neat. That's down in Mobile, Alabama. We had gone to a park and we were on an antique car tour with my in-laws. So we were driving a 1965 Mustang. And when I posted this on the Facebook page, I got more comments about the car than I did about the activation. It was really a lot of fun doing that one. But so anyway, this is her thing. She takes the pictures. She now helps me set up the antennas. She helps me tear down the antennas. She's not a ham, but she just loves doing POTA with me. I'll get on the air. She goes, gets a chair and goes reads. And then when we're ready, she helps me tear down. So we're a good team. That's about it. Any questions anybody has? Yes, sir.
Can you activate the same part more than one time?
Absolutely. One of the things. Can you activate a park more than once? And yes, there is an award that you can get for activating the parks. It's called a kilo, and Bill Jorgensen has a kilo for the Natchez Trace Trail. That means he has been out there 1,000 times and activated it. So yeah, I'm sorry, not 1,000 times, 1,000 contacts on a park. So if you go out there multiple times, you get more awards. Yes, so not 1,000 times, 1,000 contacts. Any other ones? Any other question? Yes.
So what is the procedure if you're not signed up to make a contact? If you hear a park and you want to make a contact, is it give them your call sign?
You mean if you're a hunter at the home? Yeah, if you're at home, you go through your spot page, find a park, like I said, go to it. They're calling CQ POTA. You just call them, you give them your signal report, again, a true signal report, and the state you're in, and that completes the contact. Anybody else?
Hey, Jeff, Tom on
Coopers,
Zoom.
yes. Okay. There are lots of places that are what we call 2-fers, 3-fers, 4-fers. There's even a 5-fer up in Washington, D.C. And that means you are in one place and you're activating multiple parks from one site. That means the boundaries of those parks or trails or management areas, they overlap. And you have to be within 100 feet of all of those entities to be able to do this. There's one we do out on the trace at Sheboss Ridge that the Natchez Trace Parkway goes through it. There is a Natchez Trace Scenic Trail that also runs parallel to the trace that a lot of people don't even know about. It's for backpacking. It starts in Nashville and it goes down almost to the Alabama border now, but it's all volunteer work, but it will be cut all the way down to Natchez, Mississippi when it's through. So that's a twofer. On top of that, the Trail of Tears trail runs through the middle of the park. So that is a threefer. So at that one location, you can get credit for working 3 different parks. Again, in Washington, D.C., some of the different monuments, their boundaries overlap. So there is one where you're actually working 5 different parks from one location. Yes, sir.
So the file number standard for putting it up there?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate?
It's funny, when you look at the yellow dot for like the Appalachian Trail, the Natchez Trace Parkway, any of the long ones like that, they have one yellow dot. And the one for the Natchez Trace is down in Mississippi where it originates. So when you log it, you log because it forces you to, when you put in the Natchez Trace Parkway, it comes with a block and it says, what state are you in? And so you click Alabama, Mississippi, or Tennessee, and the rest of them are like that also. So yeah, you need to be sure that you're put yourself in the right state when you're working those. Yes, sir.
What about legalities? I understand some places you can't even put a stake on the ground.
You have to know the park before you get there, because that's the truth. And really, the way the national parks are set up, the national park says you're not supposed to put a stake in the ground. I kind of look at it as helping aerate the land, but but you're not supposed to put. You have to know the park you're going in and the rules, because yeah, a lot of them you're not supposed to tie anything to a tree or put a stake in the ground. So be aware, because the last thing we want to do is have a bad reputation of not following the rules. The park boundaries, that is 100% up to you to be very careful, because some parking lots are not considered park boundaries, so you can't sit in the parking lot and work it and be legitimate. There was one in Virginia I worked. We were on an antique car tour with my in-laws, and we were staying at a lodge, and the lodge was in the park boundaries. So we would go do our running around all day. Then when I got home in the evening, I would take my Wolf River coil, sneak it out. We were on a first floor room. I'd sneak it out the window, put it up in the courtyard of the hotel, and I'd go back in and sit at the desk in the hotel and work POTA. I mean, it couldn't get any easier than that. And it was completely legit, because it is considered being in the boundary. So be careful about, where you are. And again, if you're doing a 2 for a 3 for, you have to be within 100 feet of all of the entities to be legal. We go up to Dyer Observatory, and none of us had, well, I guess the Pearsons did do it. The Radnor Lake boundary surrounds Dyer Observatory. One of the fences on the side of the property is down. So the Pearsons went up for one day while we were doing the Tuesday portable ops. They went over on the park land, set up and worked the Radnor State Park while they were up there. So and then as far as park rangers, there's all different views on this. Do you contact the park ranger when you get there, let them know you're in the area and what you're doing? I don't do that, and I've never had an issue. I know that there is one park, the Cedars of Lebanon, that has an overly aggressive park ranger that has chased some of our people out, but he has no authorization to do that. But if he does, don't argue. We don't want to cause any problems. So if they ask you to leave, just leave. I was at one in Oklahoma, a beautiful lake. I was set up on a picnic table by the edge of the lake. There was a pavilion back behind my left, and there were some construction workers up there, and they were doing brickwork and running a cement mixer and all this kind of stuff. And I see the park ranger coming, and he goes to the construction workers. He's talking to them, And then he kind of comes down my way and I said, how's it going? He said, yeah, doing really good. He said, I just want to let you know, I ask you, are these guys bothering you? He said, if they're bothering you, I can make them shut down until you're through. So I'm like, how much better can that be when they're out there helping you do this? I was at one in Louisiana. It was cold. I had just set up the station. I was running out of my car. And the ranger came up. She sat there for a few minutes, and I'm like, I wonder what she thinks is going on. She finally got out. I got out, went over and met her, and I told her what I was doing. And she said, yeah, I figured you were a POTA guy. She said, I'm on their Facebook page all the time, so I know all about you guys, but I had to come and check you out anyway. But so I've never had a bad situation yet. It's always been a good relationship with the park rangers. On that one, when you turn off the road into it, there's a big red barn there. That's kind of their pseudo parking area. And when we do that, that's where we set up, is around that barn somewhere, because we know that we're within the park boundaries there. But like Harpeth River, not the Harpeth River State Park, the Harpeth River, what do they call it? Management area or whatever. It is in like 5 different locations down the Harpeth River out west of town. And again, you have to know, it's up to you when you go out to know the park boundaries and where these different areas are. So that one you have to know which area you're going to, and they're pretty well marked. So we started to do one morning down there along, and there just was not, it was all parking area, very public, and there wasn't a place for us to sit up. So we went over to Montgomery Bell and activated Montgomery Bell, and that's one of the most beautiful parks. If you've never been to Montgomery Bell, it is well worth the trip. Very beautiful. It's got some really good activation ports. Matter of fact, my wife and I were camping there one weekend, and I just wasn't doing very well. There was a park to park, so I contacted the park to park, and he gave out his park number, and he was in Montgomery Bell. I'm like, well, isn't that something? So I told my wife, I said, let's get in the car. So we got in the car, we drove over to where Jeff and I usually go. It's high up by the golf course. And sure enough, there he was in his car activating the park. So we got out, we talked about 15 minutes and had a great time. I was at Mammoth Cave National Park. I activated as we were leaving the parking lot. I happened to see another antenna in another parking lot. I stopped. And here we were 200 yards apart, didn't even know it. And he was working POTA. So you run into us everywhere. Any more? All right. Thank you all for your time. I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. And get out there and start working parks. It's a lot of fun. We have more fun than anything. So thank y'all.